So Ice Cube gonna pump it up. Y'all wanna know how we make the music? We sample. You hear that? That, we put some of that in there, some of that, and then we do it.
What is up, guys? I know it's been a while since I've filmed a video like this in the front yard and everything. I've been really busy with work and with customer guns. I actually have like 6 or 7 customer guns that I've been working on lately. And here's one of them right here. Thompson. This is, I believe, if I remember correctly, this is the Cyma version. Pretty much, if you've heard of stock Thompson, they're pretty boring. Here's some video.
This thing is the loudest airsoft gun I have ever heard in my life. If you've ever been on the receiving end of this thing, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But most people don't, so.
It's your basic run-of-the-mill Thompson, nothing fancy about it right now yet. When I'm done with it, it's gonna be a monster. So what I plan on doing in this gun is adding some Siege Tech 13:1 gears, an ASG 16 TPA motor. We're gonna add a MOSFET, and we got a bunch of other stuff that we're gonna throw in here too. New piston head, cylinder head, spring, all that good stuff. So let's get started. Let's start by removing the stock. To remove the stock, you need to unscrew these 2 screws at the bottom. To remove the upper, just push this little button here and there you go, just like that. Next, let's unscrew the grip. To do that, we're going to need a Phillips screwdriver. A little bit of electrical tape is good for taking away the creaking plasticky noise that this grip makes. Next, go ahead and disconnect the wires from the motor and remove the motor and motor cage. There's 2 little grub screws located underneath the selector switches. Go ahead and unscrew those. When you pull these selector switches off, make sure not to lose the little plastic nub that's underneath and the spring. The spring is actually what gives it its tension, and the little white nub is what gives it its clicky noise. Even with the grub screw removed, this selector switch was being a pain in the ass to take off. Alright, next you're going to want to unscrew these selector posts with a tiny Phillips screwdriver. One thing that I thought that was really cool was the wiring, and the trigger unit was all located on the outside. So if you wanted to add, like, say 16 gauge wire or a MOSFET, you didn't have to open the gearbox to do so. So I thought that was pretty cool. So now we're going to go ahead and open up the gearbox shell, and to do so you need to take off that plate on top, and then obviously remove these screws. Alright, once we get this open, you're going to notice a couple things. You're going to notice that there's actually an upgraded ball bearing spring guide in here that I put in here a long time ago before I sold it off to the customer. And you've got that nasty looking toothpaste grease and plastic bushings, which we're going to swap out for some modified. Obviously, we got to clean this nasty grease out, so let's go ahead and do that. Alright, so now that we got the gearbox clean, let's go ahead and add these modified bushings in. So the MOSFET the customer decided to go with was the Nano SSR by Gate. I've never had any issues with Gate MOSFETs. I've used a few of them in the past. I've had a MRF 3.2 and I've also used the WARFET with no problem, so I recommend them. So stock, these come with a pretty weak motor. It's a gray can motor. They're pretty weak. Before I ended up selling it off to the customer that has it now, I ended up dropping one of those Cyma blue motors in here, and it's, as you can see, it's got some pretty strong magnets. And once again, featuring an ASG motor in my videos. Yeah, I love these motors, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, these motors are awesome. I love them, and I always recommend them, and I like to use them. And this specific motor is 16 TP8. So this is the first time I've ever worked with SiegeTech gears, and I've got to say, these are some fantastic gears. By far the best gear set I've ever worked with, and I loved it so much that I want to buy a set for myself pretty soon. One thing that was great was these gears shimmed up very easily and they mesh super well together. I really can't say anything bad about them. Like always, for the sake of time, I ended up shimming these gears off camera. So when you use SiegeTech gears, you need to modify the anti-reversal latch so it'll work with the bevel. In this video you see me use the stock anti-reversal latch, but later on we end up swapping that out for an ASG version 6 anti-reversal latch. It's just beefier and it was a lot better than the stock one. So when choosing the wires for the setup, I went ahead and used the dual wires. That's just so later on if you wanted to use a programmable MOSFET, let's say like the MRF 3.2 or the WARFET, you can go ahead and do so without a problem. So taking apart the trigger unit is actually not that difficult. It's just a couple of screws and then the top half comes off, revealing the trigger unit and all of its components. I specifically want these trigger contacts, that way I can desolder the wires that are on it right now and solder on the gate wires. So let's go ahead and assemble this bad boy. So yeah, I know I have the motor connected right here, and to get the gearbox back in the body, the motor actually needs to be off. So don't have it like I have it right now if you're trying to get the gearbox back in the body. I have it this way because I was going to test it out, which I didn't record. Stupid me, I guess I didn't press record on the camera. And right here I'm going to show you how to put in the little selector pieces. So go ahead and, if you need to, go ahead and pause it here and make sure you got that all set up the right way. Also, I guess I didn't hit record when I was finishing putting all the body and the gearbox together. Sorry about that, but if you really need to know, just go watch the beginning of the video. It's pretty much a reverse process. Yeah, so this is just kind of gonna end. I'm pretty sure you've probably seen one of these out on the field. If not, you've probably owned one when you first started playing Airsoft. I know I did. And actually, fun fact, this is actually mine, or was mine. I ended up selling it to the customer, and he ended up giving it back to me to work on. All right, so let's get a mag loaded up, and we're gonna go ahead and do some test shooting. We're full. Let's go to the Chrono. This one is with the high power 11.1 LiPo. Alright, so I've got the gun loaded. No, I don't have the gun. Alright, so I've got the mag loaded with .25 BBs. We're going to go ahead and shoot at that target right there. Let's go ahead and do it. Start with semi. Some full auto bursts. Out. Let's go ahead and mag dump this one. Wow.
This thing is the loudest airsoft gun I have ever heard in my life.
Alright, so the chrono test you saw around 380, 390. It kind of fluctuated. That's probably because the air seal is not the greatest between the cylinder head and nozzle. We did get an SHS nozzle, but it just didn't fit right. It was too tight, and when I put it actually into the gun and the body in the hop-up chamber, it would rub against the hop-up chamber and it wouldn't move. If we had more time, we might have tried a different nozzle, maybe like a Lonex or something. Rate of fire was around, oh shit, ow. Rate of fire was around 30 rounds a second with the 11.1 15C LiPo that I was using, and it jumps up when I use my brick battery that I use for pretty much all my guns. This one actually is just for my Evo, which I'm going to talk about in another video. Rate of fire jumps up to around 34 rounds a second when I use this big battery. This is 11.1. I believe this is a 35C, if I remember correctly. The little indicator kind of rubbed off. Anyway, so overall, this is, in my opinion, a monster now. The M1A1 Thompson's always kind of held a special place in my heart. I kind of wish I wouldn't have had to sell it, but I did. Needed the money, so that's why I sold this. It's in a good home now. The guy that has it loves Thompsons. He actually has two. Yeah, he has two. He wanted this one to be a beast, so that's what I built him, a beast. 13:1 Siege Tech gears, 16 TPA ASG motor. That combination right there is giving me around 34 rounds a second. So I'm gonna call this one a done build, and I'm waiting for the customer to show up actually right now and pick it up. So we'll probably get a little bit of footage of the customer shooting it and see how happy he is with it. Hopefully he's happy with it. It's been in my possession for quite a long time, about a month and a half maybe. It's been a long build, it's been a long build, but a fun one. If I had any suggestions for this guy, I would say run it with the 11.1, but a big type of these. If I had any suggestions for the customer, I would say use mid caps, don't even bother with high caps. And if you're gonna run anything high cap wise, just get a drum mag. But that's just my opinion. This thing shoots out some really high rate of fires, so if you're not wanting to do a lot of mag changes, get a drum mag. In my opinion, the high caps, I didn't really test it out with it, but should keep up, it should. The mid caps kept up fine, and I bet you they can go faster. So, I think I'm done. I'm gonna film another video. Alright broskies, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll check you guys in the next video.
This thing is the loudest airsoft gun I have ever heard in my life.